my name is Lene Place. I'm going to be discussing today a quality issue of routine foreign object. The objectives I'm going to cover today are the summary of the quality care issue of routine foreign object, the financial and patient impact, how to improve quality care issues with root cause analysis, evidence-based recommendations for this quality care issue, the benefits and risk of innovation, the quality care issue in responding to these interventions, and the nurse leader standpoint. The case. The day before Thanksgiving was a day like any other. The patient came in for a scheduled cesarean section. The cesarean was finished with no concerns. Within a day, the mother was having pain in the abdomen, which was understandable for abdominal surgery. Although the pain was unresolved after 2 days and the mother was ordered a x-ray, only to discover there was a retained sponge in the abdomen. This is considered a sentinel event. A sentinel event, as defined by the Joint Commission, is an unexpected occurrence involving death or serious physical or psychological injury or the risk of thereof. The unintended retention of foreign body remains the leading cause of sentinel events from 2013 to 2015. As you can see, the picture on the right is a depiction of some examples of where a retained sponge can be left in the abdomen after a cesarean section. Financial impact. The true incidences of retained foreign objects is unknown in the United States. Estimates range from 1 to every 1,500 operations. The financial impact of hospitals averages $52,000 in compensation and legal defense expenses. The total legal costs are much higher, exceeding $200,000 per event. This is probably due to patient harm. The patient requires a second surgery to remove the foreign object. Anytime a patient goes to surgery, the increased risk of infection and other surgical complications, as for example, the patient that was in this case study. The patient had several complications, including an ileus and a post-surgical deep vein thrombosis, and the patient was hospitalized for both. So therefore, the potential expense for the facility is potentially greater than $200,000. To improve the quality issue, the plan for remediation started with a comprehensive understanding of how the sentinel event occurred. The root cause analysis, or RCA, was used. This is a systematic process to evaluate the underlying breakdown of hospital processes and, when resolved, will prevent the issue from occurring again. As with many errors that occur in the medical field, the blame for the error is usually not the result of one person, but rather a process breakdown. For the foreign object to be retained, a series of breakdowns occurred with several systems and workplace process failures. Our RCA was included a physician, obstetric staff, postpartum staff, operating room staff, patient safety coordinator, and RCA specialist. The team reviewed the chart, staff statements, operating room procedures, management, staff training, and competencies. The findings from the root cause analysis are as follows. The team discovered that the operating room procedures on labor and delivery, also known as L&D, did not match the procedures in the main operating room. Therefore, L&D changed their operating room process by utilizing whiteboards, adopting the same lap count procedures, and ensuring the team huddle before each procedure. Secondly, the RCA team noted some inconsistencies and recommended improvements related to competencies and charting process in the operating room. Throughout the years, the initial competency had changed, and the nurses who had been employed longer than 2 years were missing key aspects of the new operating room competency requirements. Therefore, leadership developed a comprehensive standard competency for all staff and were to reevaluate every staff member before being allowed back into the operating room. Additionally, the operating room provided a staff member to audit all scheduled cesarean sections to ensure L&D was following the new implemented guidelines. Innovations which improve the quality issue are radio frequency identification device, RFID, which is used in cesarean delivery and a spontaneous vaginal delivery. Another innovation which improves the quality issue are barcoded sponges. First, I'll be talking about RFID. RFID uses electromagnetic fields to automatically identify and track tags attached to sponges. The RFID system is used for cesarean sections, and the patient lays on the mat and a scan is performed towards the end of the procedure. As you can see, it's a four-step process. If a sponge is detected, the patient will then require an x-ray to determine where the sponge remains. If a count is off, the operating room nurse can use the wand to check for trash in other areas for the remaining sponge. Although the case study specifically discusses a retained sponge after cesarean delivery, there is also a chance of retained sponges in post-vaginal deliveries. Therefore, the use of the RFID system is also recommended. As you can see below is an example of the RFID system for vaginal deliveries. You place the ball on top of the pelvic bone within 1 inch, press start, and then the scan is performed. Usually the scan lasts, in both cases, cesarean and vaginal, for 20 seconds. It will read no detection in green or detection in red, meaning there is retained sponge. ANAVA found in a 4-year study the use of the RFID system, 2,148 emergent procedures, there were no retained sponges. During the study, there were 11 cases that were near-miss cases, which the retained sponge would have remained within the patient after the operating room had it not been for the RFID system. The use of the RFID system should mitigate the risk for retained foreign objects. The risk associated with the RFID system is the increased staff complacency and the lack of proper training on the use of the system. Another evidence-based recommendation for this quality issue is the use of computer-assisted counting of sponges using barcodes. The barcode system detected significantly more counting discrepancies than the traditional system, which included misplaced and miscounted sponges. The study highlighted the increased frequency which counted discrepancies go unnoticed when traditional counting methods are applied. In an effort to completely eliminate retained foreign sponges, the Mayo Clinic evaluated the data matrix sponge counting system in addition to the standard manual counting protocols. It included individual unique data matrix coded sponges along with data matrix scanner, which kept a running count of every sponge introduced and removed from the sterile field. 2 internal trials were conducted to assess the suitability and the satisfactory performance in the trials. This technology was fully implemented. By the use of the system in my facility, it would further prevent the retention of sponges after cesarean delivery. The RFID benefits include the high detection accuracy, whereas the risks include increased time, prone to errors, and learning curve to adapt to new technology. The barcode sponge benefits include technology in the use of medicine, improved detection of miscounted and misplaced sponges. And the barcode sponges risks include increased time to count sponges, learning curve to adapt to new technology, and cost and benefit needs to be determined appropriately. The quality issues response to change of the new interventions, standardizing the operating room, including team huddles with the provider, nurse, operating room tech, and anesthesia. This has been very effective because they all understand their role prior to entering the OR. The whiteboards have been also very effective because it gives an up-to-date status on what's going on in the OR. Lap counts or sponge counts have been also standardized, where now we use only 1 sponge per bag versus the 2 we used to use, and this has decreased confusion. The charting has been reviewed by the management, and all staff have been retrained on the requirements of charting. The standardization competency did take a while for all staff to be reviewed on the new interventions in the OR, but many were very receptive to the changes that were made and actually appreciated that the OR staff took the time to review them in the OR. The nurse leader needs to assess how the quality issue or error occurred. As stated before, many errors are not the result of one person, but rather a process breakdown. So the review of the processes and see where the breakdown occurred. As for monitoring, a nurse leader should strive to be actively engaged in performing spot checks and quality control measurements to ensure patient safety is maintained. The nurse leader is also encouraged to monitor charting practices to ensure that they are accurate and complete and meet the standard. Communicating and implementation. The nurse leader cannot do this on their own. Leaders and staff need to accept that no one person can make a sustained contribution through his or her own action. In the book of Porter and Moloch states the sustainability of individual efforts depends on the ability of the whole workforce to support and sustain quality patient care as one entity or team. The nurse leader who fails to properly train and educate staff and proper quality control measures can promote higher incidences of patient safety issues, such as leaving foreign objects in a patient after a surgical procedure. To mitigate this risk, the nurse leader should always the goal should always strive for zero instances of preventable harm. To mitigate this risk, she can ensure the staff is properly trained and that they monitor the competencies yearly. As far as errors, the nurse leader should encourage staff to report errors so that the problems can be reviewed, discussed, and hopefully mitigated from occurring again. In summary, I've discussed the quality care issue of retained foreign object, specifically a sponge, the impact both financially and to the patient, how to improve quality of care issue with root cause analysis, the evidence-based recommendations for quality care issue, including RFID and barcode scanning, then the benefits and risks of the RFID and barcode scanning, the quality care issue in responding to interventions, and how the staff responded to the standardization of operating room and the standardization of competencies. Lastly, I discussed the nurse leader standpoint and how it's integral in assessing, monitoring, communicating, mitigating risks, and encouraging errors to be reported. I'd like to leave you with one final thought of Ephesians, verse 4, 1 through 6, refers to taking a path in a manner worthy of God's calling and building strong relationships. The verse reminds us to work together collectively in unity while demonstrating patience and bearing with one another through love and kindness. Possessing this approach as a nurse leader or staff member can promote the quality care and team-oriented environment and safe nursing practices. Thank you for listening today, and God bless.